extension of time and delays are very, very big topic, like I say. This is one of the major contract topics. So every contract will have clauses on extension of time, on delays, and what is considered as excusable delays. They will talk about things like additional work, force majeure, inclement weather, and many other things, late in instructions, maybe. So those are usually excuses that is the by no fault of anybody. But if there's really some fault of the engineers and also the client's representative themselves, like for example there's some problems with the delays or some problems with the drawings, then they will have to actually compensate you on that. Okay, so like I say, it will be all listed down in the contract document. So every contract, PAM, IEM, CIDB, JKR, PWD, all these contracts, they have their own way of writing. Most of them will ask the contractor to actually inform about the delay event, and then within certain period put in the application for extension of time, and then the SO will have to study the extension of time, whether to grant it or not. And when when they think that it's grantable, then they will actually present it to the client, and the client will actually give a full granting of extension of time. Okay, and that is what we call EOT, and EOT is something that you will hear a lot. Okay, and without EOT, you'll be in very big trouble. So once you have the extension of time, that means the whole project period will be pushed backwards by that period that is being given legally, and nothing will happen. So the contractor will just have to use that extra time being given to him to work hard and to finish the project at the next final date of practical completion. Okay, that is reset. So if you have a project that starts on the 1st of March, you have 12 months, they will finish on 28th of March, and in between there's some problem happens, and then the total extension of time that is granted is actually 1 month. So your project now will have a practical completion date that is going to be happening on the 31st of March. Okay, so on the 31st of March, if you still haven't finished the project, then that is considered as a you are going into another delay, basically. So then 31st of March, the deferred liability will start. The 1st of April, deferred liability will start for 12 months, finish on the 31st of March 2023, basically, and then you have a final completion on the 1st of April, okay, 2023. Okay, so that will be how it works. If, let's say, extension of time is not granted, that means the date of practical completion still stands as the original ones, or there's too many extension that is being requested and not all of them is granted. So then you went past that new practical completion date, then the problem will be you are in a punishable kind of delay, and that is what we call the most common remedies. Is actually what we call a liquidated ascertained damage, and this is a damage that is being calculated already. The client has already, the contractor, everybody has agreed on the amount of losses in time. Maybe it's in terms of opportunities, in terms of revenue, in terms of overhead. So it's a penalty due to the delay. So it can be a sum like 3,000 per day, or 5,000 per week. It can be something like that, depending on whatever that is put there. And as contractor, when you sign an agreement, especially when there's a lot of coordination work with other parties and a lot of this material that needs to be ordered from overseas, you have to be very careful when you're looking at the LAD clauses. Some LAD clauses are simply really, really exorbitant, like 30,000 a day. So in a month you're losing about 300. You're losing about 900,000, that sort of things, and then your project is only like 5 million. So in a month you lost almost 1 million. So that is ridiculous. So you have to be very careful in reading your extension of time and how they work out on the extent. The LAD. So LAD is actually a way to compensate. Okay, a way to compensate the client, is to actually safeguard the client. Okay, but also the contractor needs to be careful not to be abused because of this LAD. So the valuation of this additional cost is always very difficult to quantify, but it has to be quantified properly. Okay, because it has to be dealing with a lot of overheads are, and a lot of opportunity cost. Rental, usually it's like rental, overheads, and penalty losses, revenue losses, and all that. That will be part of the LAD. Yeah. So this is something that I mean, I've seen contract closes that has like, my contract is only like 5 millions, and then they have like really, like what I say, about 30,000 per day, and we sign that kind of contract, and then end up, the client was like giving us a lot of hard time, like, oh, cannot dig here, cannot dig there, this one have to hold, that one have to hold, and then they didn't want to grant us extension of time, and then they use that as an excuse to actually penalize you, and then end up we're losing a lot of money. So end up it was a very unfair contract, and that is something that we all have really big issues with. At the end of the day, you may actually end up going to court over it, but then you already signed a contract, you see, so that could be a huge problem for everybody involved. Okay, so then if you look at the diagram here, okay, so basically you have a date of commencement, so you have a delay, okay, and that delay is given extension of time, okay, so this is your new date, and there's another delay, for example, and if this another delay is not given the extension of time, then the new contract, this one will be penalized. You will be penalized, and then your date will always be based on that practical completion where you hand over the work to the client. And when you're handing over the work to the client, this is something that I want to talk to you about as well. It has to be a proper request for the client to come and check. And usually for a lot of development project, you will be basing it on authority. So meaning that the bomba has to come, the road certificate has to be issued, the OP will be issued. So all this will require authority to actually come out and check. So you have to be well prepared for it. It doesn't mean that today the contract ends, tomorrow you write in and say that I'm practically complete, because if the condition of practical completion is to have acceptance by all the authority involved, then you may have another month or two trying to get this authority to come and make appointment and come to your site and check your work, you see. So this is something that you have to be very well aware of. So you have to get ready like 2 months ahead, get them to come out on the day before, a few days before, right? Because appointment can be remade many times, you see. So we have to be extraordinarily careful. So we do not want to be penalized because of authority is late in coming, or authority is not coming to visit your site, and authority is not giving you the OP or the road cert for the work, you see. So we have to be extra careful when it comes to that kind of condition. So just check on that carefully. So when the authority comes, the work is handed over to the client, then that is considered as practically complete. Like I said, practical completion means that it basically the whole project is fit for usage already, with minor issues and minor defects. So you probably cannot have, like I said, the roof not covered, the road not tar sealed, not like that. You cannot have practical completion like that, okay? Or the pintu belum pasang, window belum pasang kind of thing. How people can stay in it? So that logical thing is a very logical situation. So we have to be aware of both, and of course some engineers will abuse that as well. They do not want to issue practical completion, and then because practical completion, when you apply for practical completion, all these people, like the clients, engineer, SO, the authority, needs to come and visit the site, and then after that they're certain, okay, can practically complete. They have to issue you a proper letter on the date you actually request them to come, or in the date of inspection. Okay, and then they will backdate it to that date, and they issue you with the letter of practical completion. And it means a lot of things, because it means the payment will be made, ultimate payment will be made. A lot of things will happen upon practical completion. And next thing, of course, is defect liability period. You want to be discharged in the next 12 months. You don't want it to really lengthen again and again, and you are forever stuck on the site with no idea when your duties will be discharged. Okay, so the key is apply for extension, study the extension of time, and then after that the client will grant or not grant, depending on whose fault and whose action is causing that. Okay, variation we covered already. Okay,